Okay, so it's time we talk about our new constant DPS Yelly. She is the new character on the banner. She's got about a week left. And we're going to go over her use cases, her build, and is she worth pulling? So, in short, I don't think she's worth it. There's For her to be good in PvE, she needs certain stats that would hurt her damage, and she doesn't really need those stats in PvP to hurt her damage. But her skills in PvP currently are not as useful as some of the other characters we already have. So, going over her skills, her skill one is like the bread and butter of her skill. It does some damage and she can steal buffs. Now, this is what I'm going to be talking about. Especially in like dungeons like Doki Doki, a lot of the PvE content, the enemy has a decent amount of effect resistance. So for you to steal a buff, you need to have effect accuracy. Now, it's hard to build her with pure damage and effect accuracy without just effect accuracy substats. But those effect accuracy subsets will never add up enough to penetrate a lot of the PvE content of the game. So this specific skill was more geared towards PvP in a meta where we're going to have like tanks or specific buffs that are really strong. You can use her to strip those buffs off of them and give it to herself. But in PvE, you're not going to be able to do that as often when it's a low chance, right? Only 30% and maxed out. And on top of it, you need the effect accuracy for it to activate. So that is why I truly feel like that's where the kit becomes a little bit confusing, right? It doesn't help that much in PvE. If anything, the damage is the only thing you care about, and she doesn't really do that much damage compared to characters like Didding. All right, so her skill 2 is where all her fun is at. It's all rolling the dice. It can attack as many times as it allows it to her until it goes down to basically no percentage at all. But after landing a crit, she can launch her S1. Now, mind you, this does not work with assists. So things like Lily, it will not work. And I don't have a counterattack set to test it out, but if Lily doesn't work, then I don't think the counter set will work, but we can confirm that once we farm a counter set on her. But it so far only works with her on her turn activating her S1 or S3. So she'll fire additional S1s until she can't do it anymore. I've seen her do it up to 4 times. It's a pretty cool skill. It's really fun. It's like, oh, how many times she's gonna hit this time? Her S3 is her hardest hitting skill in the in her kit. It gives a defense down crit rate, and at level 3 can purify all debuffs on her so that she's free for her turn. This is very good in PvP and in PvE. This skill works best in both areas. And with the crit rate buff, she only needs 70% crit chance at the lowest. I would still try to strive for close to 100, so when her crit rate buff is not active, she can still proc her S2's passive enough times. But yeah, this is a pretty good pretty good skill because it does it 3 times, 3 chances to inflict a 50% chance of a defense down. It's a pretty good thing. So this means that like in a PvP setting, she may not be your main damage dealer a lot of times, but she can set up for your main damage dealer. Currently, she is enough to be your main damage dealer, but I don't know going forward when we have a more tanky meta, when we get characters that can tank a lot of hits, how that would affect. But the defense down is always good. All right, so that's going over a kit. It's very simple. She, at least, thankfully, she's not a very complicated character to build. She just wants as much damage as possible to make up for her low multipliers on her S1 and her high multipliers on S2. Modules, you can pull her on speed. I think she was only good on speed if you're using her as a defense break option in the very beginning and a buff stealer. But if you want her for damage, I would put her on Onslaught and Harvest, or Onslaught and Kenai. There are other combinations you can do, but I do think Onslaught will help a lot with her damage. If you use her on speed, she is only good for, opening and stealing those buffs and putting that defense down. For shells, it's Revelation. It's the best shell for her if you're dealing damage. If you just want her to be a constant defense break unit, you can put Codex of Power, or whatever it's called, the dragon dude. This guy right here, Codex of Magic. But yeah, I think Revelation's the best. Revelation's generally the best for a lot of AoE DPSs in the game, which she has a good AoE skill. And, you know, Revelation still does increase the damage of her single target damage as well. Alright, so I feel like where her strongest point is Arena. These, like, the computer-based thing. So the one thing to know about this when you're doing, like, well, any content at all with Yeli is watch this. You see this cursor here to determine who you're targeting? The red cursor? That needs to be selected on the unit you want to use your passive on, right? Because her skill 3 is an AoE, but you can still see, look, you select skill 3, you can still select the unit. Now on mobile, I don't know how you change that, but what you can do on mobile is you can take this skill. When you select it, just select the unit you want to kill. So let's say I want to kill Freya. And if Freya survives my ability, she's going to get hit by my S1. The other thing is we're just for purposes, we're gonna target Messiah and so you can strip his buffs on him. Because Messiah's invincibility, so you see how he was resisting it. So we couldn't do it. And that's where I said you need effect accuracy. It's gonna be less use, like the requirement's gonna be less in PvP. But in PV, you need too much, and it'll sacrifice the damage, so it's not worth it. But yeah, so we got to see how that worked there. And you see here, it will not proc. That skill will not proc with Lily. So if you're pulling her to try to cheese with Lily, it does not work that way. Oh, look, we stole his invincibility right there. You saw, look, now we have the invincibility buff. So that's like the purpose of this character. It's not real. There's no grand like 900 IQ play. It's pretty simple, and that's why I think pulling her is not really worth it. Now her moves look cool. Like, I kid you not, this looks really sick. I mean, if you pull her for her looks and her animations, then sure, I guess so. But from a practical standpoint, I don't think she's worth it. The other place where she can be useful is, like, bosses. So, like, let's quickly go over to Terramaton really quick and show you guys that. Alright, so like I was saying before, she's very good at single target damage. If you just need to kill a boss really quick while ignoring the ads. Now, I wouldn't suggest doing Terramaton this way, but let me show you how good she is when it comes to just killing bosses. This is Hell 4. So when you defense break someone, this is where she can sign her S3. It will do a lot of damage here. You'll see it. And then you'll see when she uses her S1, it'll do quite a bit of damage. Now, unfortunately, only hit once there extra, but, you know, it could be 2, it could be 3 times, you know? You never know. That's the fun in her. Yep, and there she goes 3 times, you know? So, like, you know, it's RNG, right? But that's the fun in her. Like, so, like, you know, normally Terramaton, you gotta kill this left one and then kill the center guy. But with her, and, like, let's say you have a Didding, another single target damage, you can just sit there and just ignore, like, ignore the mechanic and just, like, out damage and just completely wreck the boss. Now she's gonna use her S3 and finish it off with Revelation, so it'll do a lot of damage. And there it is. So overall, she's not a bad character, but I don't think she's worth the pulls right now. Characters like Messiah serve better purpose in both PvE and PvP. So while she seems good in Arena, she's also fairly competent in PvE in a lot of scenarios just because she's a constant character, so she has no weaknesses. So she does have that advantage, but I can say so is Didding. So she's like a combination of AoE and then into single target into AoE, while Didding's only single target. So, like, for that prospect. A lot of people think, you know, or will say that she's good in PvE. But I feel like she's mixed into both, and that makes her not worth pulling. Your goal right now should be trying to get to Inferno and farm Inferno, and you definitely do not need her for that. So, I hope this video was helpful. I'm the Gacha Game Cultivator, and catch you guys on the next one.